Be prepared for something new. Everyone is different. So are you. Stay straight. No masquerades. Do things that you'll remember. You can push too far, but stay fair. Stay on track. Give it your all. Get to the bottom of things. Decide what's right. Don't believe in what the others do. Find it out for yourself. Be close to it all. Bring your heart along. Follow your goals. Reach for the stars. Turn the weekend into the loudest party of your life. Are you prepared?
Sunny greetings from Spielberg. It is the Red Bull Ring we're at, and the weather is just absolutely fantastic, and we're very excited because it's only 4 more races to go, and that means now it's getting close and it's all about the championship title. And I'm here with Lukas Auer, the local hero, if you wish. And what is it like, even though the qualifying didn't go all that well, what is it like actually racing here with your people here, with your homies?
It's great. I'm very proud to have as an Austrian in DTM a home race, and really looking forward to the race. Let's see what I can do from P12.
All right, well, best of luck. I'm sure you're going to push really hard. And before we get started here with racing, let's have a look back at the Nürburgring.
The championship battle is getting tighter. Nevertheless, Mattias Ekström managed to defend his leading position in the Eifel. In the first race, however, he made the wrong choice in the rain lottery and only finished 15th.
During the pit stop, when the sky opened and I saw the monsoon rain came and I had slicks, I knew that was it.
In the second race, he upped the ante. He progressed from 13th to 6th. Could he have done even better because of this situation? Timo GLOCK crashed into the back of Nico Müller's car. Afterwards, GLOCK accused the Audi driver of having braked early on purpose in order to manipulate the race and to help Ekström.
It's, you know, reflecting to bad sportsmanship. It's reflecting to bad behavior from Audi to play games like this.
At the moment, I didn't understand really what happened because there was more than enough space for probably 2 cars on the right-hand side, and he drove straight into my back.
Marco Wittmann is back in the battle for the title. On Saturday, he dropped back to 9th, but the defending champion improved in the second race and finished 3rd behind the Mercedes duo of WICKENS and RESTA.
At the end, good points, of course, if you start from pole and you even lead the race before the pit stop. Yeah, you also would like to finish on the top step, but today I think we can be still happy with P3.
Lukas Auer showed 2 faces at the Nürburgring. While running 3rd on Sunday, he made this mistake with huge consequences. He only finished 13th.
I thought, I'm so sorry.
Nevertheless, Auer is back in the battle for the title. One day before, he was on the top step as the brand from Stuttgart locked out the first 4 places and thus is the main hunter in his home race at Spielberg.
And I'm here with Jamie Green. Jamie in pole position. Fantastic job you did in qualifying. And that basically also gives you the chance to throw yourself back in the championship battle.
Well, we'll see how the race goes. I mean, happy with qualifying. It's my first pole of the year, I think. So, yeah, pole's always a nice little confidence lift. So I'm happy with that. And we'll see how the race goes. But, yeah, it would be nice to get a win.
I was just going to say, pole is always nice, but a win is even better, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, well, best of luck, Jamie. Thank you. And back to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Let's take a look at how they're going to line up then for the 15th race of the season. Jamie Green on pole position from Nico Müller, just 21 thousandths of a second between the 2 of them this morning. On road 2, we got Mattias Ekström, the championship leader, and the champion, Marco Wittmann. Starting 5th and 6th on row 3, Mike ROCKENFELLER and René Rast. And then the 4th row of the grid lining up together, we got Robert Wickens in Mercedes and Maxime Martin's BMW. Next up, we've got Timo GLOCK and Augusto Farfus, who complete the top 10, just a thousandth of a second between those two. In qualifying this morning, pulled a RESTA, and then championship hopeful Lucas Auer with work to do from 12th on the grid. Bruno SPENGLER and Edo Mortara start 13th and 14th. They make up the 7th row of the grid. And then on the 8th row, we've got Gary PAFFETT after a very disappointing qualifying session for him. And Tom Blomqvist is alongside on the penultimate row. The final row of the grid then, Loic de Waal and Maro Engel at the back of the grid, but less than a second covering all 18 drivers in that qualifying session this morning. So welcome along to the Red Bull Ring. As you see, Bruno SPENGLER getting some drinks and getting ready for his race here today, with work to do from a fairly lowly grid position. We started in the mountain mist this morning, a delay to the free practice session, but pretty quickly, within an hour or so, the sun broke through, and we now have a beautiful day here in the Styrian Mountains. It's an absolutely delightful setting here. The drive from Vienna, which is about 2 hours away from here, was wonderful on the way to the track yesterday, and we've got a bumper crowd. It's absolutely packed, a real busy crowd on Saturday. The drivers during the lunch break, or just before the lunch break, were all busy doing the driver autograph sessions, and there were huge queues of enthusiastic fans here for this penultimate round of the season. So Chris Hartley here, trackside, to talk you through the action this weekend alongside. It's a very good afternoon to Leo Gorman.
And it's a very, very good afternoon, Chris. As you said, we had an awful lot of mountain mist this morning, but that is cleared to be an absolutely wonderful day. And
yeah, hold that thought, because we've got Jens Marquardt from BMW on the grid with Verena.
Yes, we've got Jens Marquardt here. Now in qualifying, it looked like you were struggling a bit bringing the tires and temperature, but you got your main man, Marco Wittmann, on P4. So what do you think about the race? How's that going to go?
Well, obviously, race and qualifying are very different in that respect. Yeah, it was really the question of when to and how to get both axles into the optimum window for qualifying with traffic management and everything. The race is going to be different. I think here's more about managing your tire and the wear throughout the race, so the stint length. And I hope we have the right strategy, and yeah, good start, and then we see. 4th is not too bad. 4 cars in the top 10 is not too bad as well, but a bit too far behind. So we need to push. We need to really focus forward and see how we go.
All right, well, best of luck for that. Thank you very much, Jens Marquardt, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, good to catch the thoughts of the BMW boss there. That was a good year for them last year. They won both the races, BMW, with Marco Wittmann and Timo GLOCK taking a race win apiece. Marco, the best of their drivers, as you heard there, 4th, but only 81 thousandths of a second away from pole position, Lee.
Yes, and Jens actually remarked on something that I was actually just about to say, is we had a cool morning. It's not actually heated up that much. It is still a relatively fresh day, so it's going to take a little bit more to make sure you have the optimum tire temperature and the optimum brake temperature to get your car in the absolute right window. And as I said, Wittmann is their highest BMW P4. It was a bumper qualifying for Audi. I mean, they got Green on pole, Muller 2nd, Ekström 3rd, ROCKENFELLER 5th, Rast 6th, and he had to go all the way back down to 7th for the highest Mercedes runner, which was Robert Wickens.
Right, and then you have to go back to 11th to find the next one, which is Paul the RESTA. So Mercedes have struggled a bit here. The Red Bull Ring in its current form, of course, born out of the Österreich Ring, parts of that circuit still here, but it became the Red Bull Ring after being the A1 Ring for a number of years in 2011. DTM came here the year it opened as the Red Bull Ring, and it's been BMW and Audi that have been sharing all the wins here, 4 apiece for them during that period. There hasn't yet been a win for a Mercedes driver at this circuit. And in terms of the points in the championship, it is an Audi driver that leads the way. Mattias Ekström, looking for his 3rd title in the championship, 137 points because he gained some points in qualifying. 1 point in qualifying. He has now gained a 10-point lead in the championship over Lucas Auer. So it's 137 for Ekström, 127 for Auer. René Rast on 124 points in 3rd. Jamie Green, with 3 points for pole position, moved into 4th place in the standings on 116. Marco Wittmann dropping back just 1 point behind him on 115 points in 5th place. And Mike ROCKENFELLER completes the top 6 in the championship on 110 points. So what a glorious view. There are few circuits in the world that have a more picturesque setting than this. The snow-capped mountains in the background to the rear of the circuit. And there is the starting grid. You can see just how close it was. It was a fantastic qualifying session this morning. 0.932 seconds, less than a second, covering all 18 drivers in the session. Jamie Green with a mighty lap getting pole position. It wasn't without a fight, though, because Nico Müller had held pole position and Jamie had to snatch it back right in the closing stages of the session. Mattias Ekström didn't quite manage to get a lap in, a proper full-on lap in the last couple of minutes of qualifying. And his last attempt he aborted in the end, so maybe there's a bit more to come from the driver that leads the championship. Nico Müller there, who's come in for a bit of criticism recently from other drivers, as you heard in the VT we played before the race. It's not the first time he's come into some criticism for in the words of other drivers and teams, blocking to keep back other brands and help out his teammates that are battling for the championship and for race wins. Will he play a similar role or not? Well, you've got Jamie Green, who can still win the championship title, just ahead of him, and you've got the championship leader just behind. Dieter Gass, let's get his thoughts now, because he's on the grid with Verena.
Yes, he certainly is. Now, Audi is extremely strong today. You've got 5 Audis in the top 6. But let me ask you, now that we don't have the weight penalties anymore, I guess in this DTM season 2017, we're really going to see who the strongest car is.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a big relief, really, for everybody. And I'm really looking forward to proper racing. A lot of fighting still. We have had a good qualifying session, which was a bit of a surprise in that extent to me. But we have seen performance extremely close everywhere, so I'm looking forward to a tight race.
I was going to say, with 3 Audis in the top 3, that's going to be good.
Well, it's good, but we have a start of a race in the first corner, and then I think we can look a bit more towards the rest of the race. I just hope that we can keep it like it is.
All right, well, thank you very much, Dieter Gass. Best of luck, and back to you.
Thanks very much, Verena. So it's looking like a promising day for Audi. Lee, what are your thoughts about Mercedes? Can they have a stronger race pace here? Can they come through? It's not the easiest circuit in the world to overtake on. But, again, we've said they're not that high up the grid. But in terms of lap times, they're not too far away, are they?
Well, generally, they have had a better race pace during this season, as we've seen the championship point standings come up on screen there, with Mattias Ekström leading Mercedes at Lucas Auer, 137, 127. Dieter Gass mentioned the dropping of the performance balances there, and that could play a key issue in these final 2 rounds, because we must remember that Audi and BMW have actually introduced brand new cars, homologated brand new cars for this 2017 season, whereas the Mercedes car, it is actually almost a kind of it's a re-homologated version of the C63 that they ran last year. So it's not necessarily a new car, but
yeah, still time to improve, maybe. Oli Fritz, let's get his view on what's going to happen in this race, Verena.
Yes, let's find out. Oli Fritz, your best 3 Mercedes are only in 7 and 11 and 12. What are you struggling with, and what do you think, how hard can you push for the race?
Yeah, I think it will be difficult. We lacked with pace a bit, especially today in qualifying. Didn't really properly get the tires to work, so yeah, we'll see what happens in the race. Different strategies, maybe there is a chance, but I think the Audis look really strong, so that will be a hard fight, I think.
Well, best of luck, Oli Fritz. Thank you so much. And we can hear it's getting loud, so let's get racing. Back to you guys.
It is, yeah. Thanks, Verena. Yeah, we're building up. The grid is being cleared, and good to catch up with Oli Fritz there. Of course, one way you can make a difference is in the different strategies that you employ in terms of when you come in and make the pit stops. And no doubt, as we've seen most of the season, you're going to get some drivers coming in very early, and you're going to get some drivers coming in very late. So that could be well worth keeping an eye on for Mercedes, certainly, who have got an uphill battle here. That is going to be one option they will have been looking at, and they will have only looked at it after qualifying once they knew where they were on the grid. But no doubt they are going to try something different here, and I think probably they have to.
I think, yeah, I don't think they have a choice. I mean, the pace in practice today wasn't too bad. Once they got the long runs in the sessions yesterday, they showed some decent laps when they are actually stringing them together. So if you're Lucas Auer, do you drop behind? Do you pit stop after the first lap? Running clear air for as long as possible, keep doing steady times, quick times, so that when everyone else finally comes into the pits, you actually rise up the order. The key being that everyone else is going to be in traffic and you're in free air.
If you're the only one that comes in. We are about to find out because they head off onto the formation laps. The penultimate event of the season. It's going to be the 15th race of the 2017 season. We've still got 109 points available. And so there's still a dozen drivers that mathematically could win this championship, but certainly looking at the top 6 as all having a big chance here. Jamie Green is the driver on pole position. He had a really strong start to the season. He won 2 out of the first 4 races. At Hockenheim, he was a winner. At the Lausitzring, he was a winner, but he hasn't won since. He hasn't been on the podium since then. He has been a consistent points scorer, though. You have to go back to his disqualification from the 5th race of the season at the Hungaroring. That was the last time he didn't finish in the top 10 and in the points. So if he can bolster up those points finishes with a few wins at the end of the season, let's see what he can do. Jamie Green has come close to win the title before. He was the runner-up in 2015, 3rd last year. Let's see how he can get on. Lucas Auer has work to do, as we've discussed. He's had 3 wins this season. He's the most winning driver so far this year. In all, though, you've got 14 of the 18 drivers that have been race winners this year. So 10 different winners this season and 15 drivers that have been on the podium. So more than half of the drivers in the field, 10 of them, have been race winners so far this season, and only 3 of them haven't yet been on the podium in the 2017 season. The championship leader from the 2nd row of the grid, Mattias Ekström, is one driver that actually hasn't had any wins so far this season, but he's been mega consistent and he's had 5 podium finishes. As you see the circuit map there, the first sector time takes us up to the entry into turn 1 at the top of a steep hill there on the run into Remus. The second sector is the longer sector, and it's in that second sector and the final sector, taking in the very last two turns and the run out down through the back of the circuit through Pirelli and West Alpine. That was where Jamie Green really nailed it to get his pole position. So he brings the Audi now up onto the grid. As ever, it is going to be a 55-minute plus 1 lap race here. Same again tomorrow with another qualifying session, and the cars just coming underneath the commentary box now. The grandstands are full. It is absolutely packed here, heaving as we walk around the paddock on the way to get back across from the outer paddock to the commentary box, and an enthusiastic crowd who are anticipating a real title showdown. It looks likely that it's going to go down to the wire, this at Hockenheim, but it could be wrapped up maybe this weekend. But they are just going to try their very best to get part 1 done and dusted. The last driver has lined up on the back of the grid, but smoke coming from further back from the penultimate row of the grid. Engel is there, though. We got smoke coming from Spengler's car. He'll be desperate to get underway. The red lights come on, the revs rise, and we go racing here at the Red Bull Ring. DTM underway. Jamie Green, good start. Nico Müller tucking in behind, and Mattias Ekström is going with them. And Jamie Green now gets the run into turn 1. Eki is trying to come around the outside and find a gap here, but the door is shut by Nico Müller, so he slips back into 3rd place. You've got Eki and Wittmann then just behind as well, on board with Mattias Ekström as he goes up through the gears here, climbs this very steep hill on the run up towards Remus. Tight right-hander coming up. Who is going to get there in this squabble for 4th place? Wittmann just about hanging on to this, but Robert Wickens has made a good start and was certainly giving him lots of stress as he came up into turn 2. They now go over the brow, the highest part of the circuit, running up and down the undulations, down towards turn 3 at Reich. Jamie Green leading, Nico Müller in 2nd place, Mattias Ekström there in 3rd position. Wittmann has secured that 4th place, but having to work very hard with a queue forming up behind him. Reddy Rast is just behind on the fringe of the top 6 as well. There is Lucas Auer trying to work his way through the field. Then Mortara is at the back of the field, so Mortara's had a bad start here, down in plumb last in 18th place, but a perfect getaway for the Audis. 1st, 2nd and 3rd, Green, Müller and Ekström lead.
Wickens actually got Wittmann earlier in the lap, so that's Mercedes up to P4 from P7. Wonderful start, a complete opposite for Mortara, who was actually starting on the 7th row of the grid. He plummeted to absolute last in that 1st sector of the race. As we see people coming into the pits now, didn't quite see who it was.
Jamie Green then across the line at the end of the first lap of the race. 0.7 of a second clear of Nico Muller, who in turn is about 0.6 of a second clear of Ekström in third. PAFFETT and Blomqvist are the two drivers that come into the pits. There they are on your screens. PAFFETT's Mercedes already into its box. Blomqvist has a longer run down the pit lane to come in here. And at the head of the field, Nico Muller and Mattias Ekström definitely hanging on to the race leader, with Wickens with that good start to squeeze up to fourth place, battling away through the first lap with Marco Wittmann getting through ultimately to do that. And Team Radio.
I almost killed myself. He was in front of near 40 RF. Oh gosh. I think it was a rose.
Farfus off the road and not impressed, as you can hear us now. Mattias Ekström goes for second place. Nico Muller surely isn't going to fight too hard.
Well, I think he opened the door. That was orchestrated quite a long way back. As we see, Auer takes Glock for 10th place. Yeah, that was orchestrated quite some time ago. And actually, I was wondering when that was going to happen, because it was the right thing for Audi to do to make sure Ekström gets the maximum in this championship. Now it just has to do a swap with Green, which probably may come in the next lap or so. But they have to be careful, because Wickens is actually just there. They can't just open the door and let him through, because you might open the door for Wickens as well. So you've got to be careful.
And you've got Lucas, as you say, up into the points now.
Yeah, he's in 10th place, so that's 1 point for Auer.
René Rast under investigation for a jump start, so that's not to say he's definitely going to get penalised, but they are looking at it. And our sensors have triggered off an alarm in race control. 51, Muller also under investigation for a jump start. So my next question was, is he going to play rear gunner again for the team, as he's done several times in the last few races, or is that going to scupper his plans if he then ends up with a penalty that he'll have to carry later on in the race? Under investigation, not yet penalised. Green, Ekström, Muller, the top three coming through there. Robert Wickens in fourth. Marco Wittmann, the reigning champion, double champion, in fifth. Marco, one of only two drivers that's won at this circuit in DTM on more than one occasion. So Auer with a decent start up into the top 10. His next target is going to be Paul de Resta, who is in a Mercedes. There is Paul, number 3, in the white Mercedes. Lucas Auer coming up next. So Paul, we've already seen Paul in recent weeks helping out in terms of championship frontrunners. Problem for Audi is that Jamie Green leads the race, is still a championship contender. So surely he's not going to let the Mattias Ekström car through without a fight.
Incident between where Farfus' spin in the last lap. It's Lucas Auer being investigated for possibly a contact there. Now, the interesting thing is we're going to see is this...
This is a replay of it, yes. So Farfus coming up behind the pink Mercedes of Auer, pulls out, and then, well...
It's starting to walk. Auer did move.
Contact, it was fairly minimal, wasn't it? But it was enough at that speed to send him off the road. Whoa, and look, he got airborne. The front of the car as the aero and the air got under the car, lifted right up. Farfus, actually in front of our commentary box live now, has just come into the pits.
So Auer did actually move, but it was very minimal, and it was enough to actually catch Farfus on the straight. Whether that is enough for a penalty, we don't. We're talking minimal movements as we see Farfus
but
change.
At those speeds, it can make a big difference. And now they're going to change their strategy and bring him in and see if they can recover this. The fastest first sector of the race has just gone to Marco Wittmann, the driver in 5th place, 21.4, 21.8 for Green in the first sector. So, although he's not that much quicker than Wickens ahead of him and Muller ahead of that, he's much quicker than Green there as Mortara starts to carve his way through the field in the number 48 Mercedes, having been dead last at the end of the first lap. He's ahead of Maro Engel and Loic Duval.
One of the things to pay attention to as this race goes on is the time in the pit lane. You've got to slow down, go through the pits, change your tyres and speed back up again. You lose 25, 26 seconds. But and then in the following lap, you lose yet another 4 seconds because there's no tyre warmers in DTM anymore. So if you're going on absolute cold tyres, there's so little grip, you can't get the traction down. So you actually have to take into account an additional 4 seconds. As we see, Rast and Muller, no further action for them, so they are actually their starts were deemed completely legal,
and that'll be a relief, won't it? Not just to those drivers, but also to their teammates. Contact there with Maro Engel on Loic Duval for a position towards the tail end of the field. That was on the run into turn 1. Team radio from Nico Muller. I didn't quite catch that, but Nico is managing the gap, I would say, back to 4th place, back to the Mercedes of Robert Wickens. The gap between them is almost exactly a second now. There's a further half a second back to Marco Wittmann. There is Marco in the number 11 BMW, the Red Bull livery, and I fancy maybe he's a tiny bit quicker than Robert Wickens at the moment, but he can't find a way through. René Rast hanging on to the tail of them. The incident that I just mentioned there between Doval and Engel under investigation, because it was one move that certainly not without contact as we go on board here with René Rast.
Wickens has got to be careful because he's already burned through 3 DRS laps as it is. He's only got 9 left for the rest of this race, and you don't want to go through them too quickly, especially if you're 0.9 of a second behind. There's no need to do that because you're not going to gain enough. You're too far behind to actually use that to be able to make a move. You need to be less than half a second behind, maybe 4/10 of a second behind, and you need to get the last 2 corners right, not lose too much front end, allow you to get an awful lot of pace coming on the start-finish straight as Wickens goes wide and really brings up the dust.
Yeah, that's not helpful. That last corner is so critical because look how steep it is on the run up to turn 1. It gets even steeper from turn 1 up to turn 2. So if you are sluggish coming out of that last turn, it messes up the end of 1 lap. It totally ruins the start of the next lap, and it puts you under pressure a couple of corners later. So Wickens pushing hard to try and keep Wittmann and Rast behind him, but they're not, I don't think, close enough to take advantage of this. So Wickens pushing hard and bringing with him, certainly under braking. Wittmann closes right up, doesn't he, going through turn 2. Again, it rises coming out of the corner. So again, you've got to get a good exit here. And we're going to get some replays of the start now. Further back, so the reason Baltaro was at the back was he had a terrible start. Look, the car didn't stall, but it almost did coming off the line. So he was plumb last.
A wonderful start by Wickens, actually. He swung from the outside into the inside and actually made those 3 places. As everyone else, the brakes just kind of, they slid to the outside, and Wickens just opened the door for him, as you see on the inside line there.
Rast was pretty close on the outside as well, wasn't he? Rocky had a good start, but there was 3 abreast in front of him, so he couldn't get through either. And then Wittmann and Wickens continued to battle for a while as we get bits of bodywork flying off on the run to turn 2.
That was Farfus, actually. I believe that was Farfus as well, and that may have been another incident with Auer.
Here's the start from René Rast. This is him trying to go around the outside and with no choice, really. Gets a lock-up, slides wide. We look back then. Maxime Martin to the left, and Timo GLOCK, race winner here last year. On board with Timo now, and they're out running wide. René Rast just ahead, ROCKENFELLER and Martin just squeezing through. This is a great shot on the onboard here, right down on the wheel, and you'll see it very much how close they get to one another here on the run out of turn 1 on the run, particularly up to turn 2. Green was made to work hard for the start. I mean, he got a good start, but Muller got a pretty good start as well, didn't he? So it wasn't dead easy for Jamie Green at the start of this race, but he's now getting in his stride. Ekström, of course, having been allowed to come up to second place, 2.2 seconds down at the end of that previous lap.
Well, the thing is with Green technically, although a little bit of an outside shot, is still in the championship hunt because he's in 4th in the championship, 21 points behind Ekström, so he's not going to necessarily give up that position either. He's going to go for that win, and if it stays like this, there's still a long way left in this race, but it actually gets him 7 more points over Ekström, so this is far, far, far from a done deal from Jamie Green.
And there's somebody else who still reckons he can win the championship in what's his first full season in DTM. Multiple Porsche Super Cup, Porsche Carrera Cup Deutschland champion René Rast, who's been absolutely sensational at times this year. This is Lucas Auer coming past his brand mate at Mercedes, Paul di Resta, and that's to gain 9th place. And again, Paul, understandably, who mathematically could still win the championship, unlikely to do so, is going to give the place to Lucas Auer, who is the real shot at winning the championship as far as Mercedes are concerned. So here you go, Lucas Auer comes through, and it was made about as easy as it could be, really. So di Resta now drops back to 10th place, and he'll have to fend off Timo GLOCK for the final point as it stands.
So if you're Lucas Auer, what is your potential strategy? You've missed the point where you can pit early and maybe go along in clean air, but do you then stay out long term? Because the tyre wear here is not particularly great. The Hancocks are lasting very, very, very well, as we see Wittmann having a go at the back of Robert Wickens, and then Rast just behind them. But the tyre wear is relatively minimal, the brake wear is relatively minimal, so you can actually go long in this race, extend the tyre life, and make sure that you can actually gain positions later on while everyone else pits and ends up in traffic.
Now, only 3 have been into the pits. PAFFETT, Blomqvist and then a couple of laps later, Farfus. It's PAFFETT who's the leading pit stopper, if you like, at the moment, in 16th place. There's a couple of seconds clear of Blomqvist, so they came in together, didn't they? But he's well clear of him. But then 8 seconds back, Farfus, but of course Farfus lost time with his incident before he came into the pits. So lap times for those three are in the sort of mid-124s, which is not as quick as the first couple, but it is as quick as the drivers 3rd, 4th, 5th. ROCKENFELLER coming in from the top 10. So Mike ROCKENFELLER now is the first of the real front runners to come into the pits. René Rast, meanwhile, is pushing hard here in the Audi to try and close the gap and put some real pressure onto the Marco Wittmann car. 5th and 6th they run. What's the stop going to be? Not lightning quick, not bad. 6.6 seconds.
This is going to be close to PAFFETT. This is going to be close to PAFFETT if he doesn't lose the position.
Coming out of the last turn now, isn't he?
But then Rocky's going to lose 3 to 4 seconds on this outlap trying to get his tyres up to temperature. And this is what I'm talking about. You need almost 30 to 31 seconds overall to actually make the move.
PAFFETT well up to temperature, of course. There is Tom Blomqvist. So they are 16th and 17th. He is out in front of them, but look at him weaving to try and generate some heat into the tyres. This new system of not being able to have tyre warmers was never more apparent than it was at the Lausitzring. Well, the cars were all over the place, weren't they, for a lap? And the cars sliding into each other and sliding off the road. It hasn't been as bad at other circuits, and it is relatively warm for the time of year. But ROCKENFELLER ahead at the moment, but that's not going to stop Gary PAFFETT now on these warmer tyres, closing the gap. Still weaving the tyres here on the run down to turn 3. Look, Mike ROCKENFELLER. I mean, visually, you can see the gap coming down from the Audi to the Mercedes.
And this is what I'm talking about. The gap between them was actually 30 seconds. So you can actually see that's visually how much you need. And then you've seen how much Rocky's actually lost in terms of space to PAFFETT on this outlap, and he's probably just about getting up to pace now, where he's really able to put his foot down without the threat of the car flinging away from the rear end. But as I said, it needs 30 to 31 seconds to make your stop and actually have enough space on that outlap to be able to stay ahead of the guy behind. But only just.
Absolutely. At the front of the field, Green did a 124.1 last time around. So did Muller, but in between them, Eki did a 124.5. So it wasn't a great lap from Ekström last time around. Those three are in a class of their own, because then you have to go to the high 124s, 124.8s and 9s from WICKENS, Wittmann down. So that lead group has got 3 or 4 tenths of a second at the moment over this chasing pack here as we go on board now with René Rast.
Here comes Rast.
Oh, that was close to contact, and it was good driving to back off out of that without losing too much time, because he could have easily fallen into the clutches of Mattias Martin. But showing his notes for the first real time here, Marco Wittmann absolutely having none of it. Both of these drivers have tried to close the gap to Mattias Ekström at the top of the championship table. They both run in the top 6 in the standings and fighting hard here. And now Gary PAFFETT gets a run on Mike ROCKENFELLER, who's got the tyres up to temperature, but the Mercedes is a quicker car at the moment and gets the cutback coming out of the turn here. Gary PAFFETT, the 05 champion, on Mike ROCKENFELLER here, another former champion. Rocky's got the inside line. He knows it. Gary PAFFETT's utterly committed to this and is still trying to keep his foot in here. Mike ROCKENFELLER still hanging on to it, still together, wing mirror to wing mirror for 3 corners, but he survives. Rast not happy with Marco Wittmann's driving by the sounds of the team radio. We've also got one of last year's race winners, Timo GLOCK, has now come in for his mandatory pit stop. There then is number 6, Robert Wickens in 4th place. Wittmann just behind in the BMW in 5th, and René Rast right with them now in 6th place.
And here's a big indication, Chris, about this. When Rocky pitted, he was running in 6th, 7th place at the time. PAFFETT, when he pitted, was actually down in the 13th, 14th kind of area.
And they're all going to get past GLOCK.
And GLOCK was also running top 8 as top 8 as well, and he's dropping behind this pack. So that's actually, those guys who pitted earlier on are actually beginning to pick past those guys who were actually 6, 7 positions further on.
I would also say PAFFETT has been the one that's benefited well here. That was a replay of Rocky.
That's Rocky
all over the curbs, way out wide, coming out of the final turn, over the grass, and then PAFFETT coming through as a result of that while we had the pit stop for GLOCK. So Gary PAFFETT finally got the job done after a couple of laps of trying, and they've all got past Timo GLOCK, and this is sort of working out nicely now for the British driver, who could find himself, well, certainly well up in the top 10, maybe even well up in the top 5.
But Chris, with a circuit, and we've got Wickens in.
You've got Wittmann in, and you've got Mattias Martin just behind them as well. Race between the pit crews now, isn't it? and where are they going to come out in relation to Gary PAFFETT and Timo GLOCK and Mike ROCKENFELLER, the others that have been into the pits. So Wickens 7 seconds, that's pretty good. It's not the fastest we've seen. Marco Wittmann's team is on it now as well. You can see on the track map, Gary PAFFETT is just coming into the penultimate turn here. He's the leading pit stopper at the moment. He comes out of the final turn, and they are now released at the back of the queue then. So you've got Maxime Martin at the head of that queue is Wickens.
Joy, it's close. It's very, very, very close.
I think PAFFETT's got a good chance here, especially with them, as you say, being on colder tyres. So they're going to come out in front of him, but not much ahead of him. And I would say ROCKENFELLER probably had a slightly bigger gap than Martin does over Gary PAFFETT. So going to be very close, this. And Gary's got to have to go on the attack now, because this is his best chance over the next couple of laps. Rocky hanging on to the tail of the British driver as they come out through turn 2. Timo GLOCK is well off these pit stoppers, isn't he? In the back of the background, he really did lose out during that pit stop period.
So this is actually an important question. Is it actually taking longer for these tyres to come up to temperature than we initially thought? Is it potentially taking almost a lap and a half? Because this is a circuit, it's a quick circuit. It's only got 9 corners, only 3 of which are hard braking. The others are kind of slow.
Here comes Gary PAFFETT here, looking at the inside of Maxime Martin there. That was where he first had a look at the Mike ROCKENFELLER car before he got through when Mike ran out wide. And into the pits is Lucas Auer. Yeah, Lucas Auer right in front of the commentary box has come into the pits. There he is on track, and you're looking at trying to be 7 seconds or less if you can. Not slow, 6.7, that's good. So Wickens is about to come into the final turn. There is Auer, just being released from the pit lane. It's going to seem oh so slow coming out of that pit lane. I think he's just about going to make it ahead of Wickens, who crosses the start-finish line now, or is he in fact going to be so close this? Maybe no, it's going to slot in somewhere around Gary PAFFETT and Maxime Martin.
I think it's behind. He's going to be behind Rocky.
Just about. It's going to be right in that pat there, right alongside Gary PAFFETT and just in front of Mike ROCKENFELLER, but Mike has got more grip available to him, surely, as they go up to turn 2. He's already through, in fact, and now you've got Gary PAFFETT on the attack here for Maxime Martin. All these cars have been in their pits now. Maxime Martin makes his BMW as wide as possible. Gary PAFFETT will try and get the cut back here, and the door opens up invitingly, but then just closes again before Gary can even think about trying to get alongside on the run into turn 2. So that inside line is going to be absolutely covered now for the right-hander coming up at Reich. And Gary PAFFETT flings one around the outside here. Sparks fly from Maxime Martin's car. Coming up to both of them then is the green and yellow Audi of Mike ROCKENFELLER. The 09 champion, though, can't find a way through. And behind Auer, behind Blomqvist now, essentially behind Blomqvist.
Eki Pitts from 3rd place.
And yeah, Eki had just been falling away, hadn't he, from Green and Muller bit by bit. So good pit stop, but not great. 7.7 seconds. So he potentially has lost a second just in the stationary time compared to others that have been doing 6.6 and 6.7 second stops. Out of the last corner come Wickens and Wittmann here.
And Eki's going to drop behind. No, he's not. He's fine. But they will close.
Wickens is the leading pit stopper, if you will. And where is he? There he is. Mercedes coming out. So Eki is still going to be the leading pit stopper by quite some distance. So that gap is going to come down. Tyre degradation already for Gary PAFFETT. I wouldn't have expected it that early around this circuit. He's already noticing it, Gary PAFFETT. And still trying to find a way past Maxime Martin. So Ekström is the first of the pit stoppers in 9th place. A few seconds behind him, Robert Wickens, who's got right behind him Marco Wittmann. Now 9th, 10th, 11th. Martin has got PAFFETT breathing down his neck. They're just edged clear now from Mike ROCKENFELLER. So those are the top 6 pit stoppers so far. PAFFETT, you get the sense, would very quickly like to dispose of Maxime Martin, because you can see the others getting away as we get Nico Muller coming in from 2nd place and René Rast coming in from 4th place here. And where is Eki going to slot into all of this? You can see there on the track map, he's just making his way down the hill through West Alpine, down towards Rindt, named after 1970 Austrian driver, German-born Austrian driver Jochen Rindt, who posthumously won the Formula 1 World Championship, and then into the Red Bull Mobile corner, the last corner, as they are released from the pits now. Muller still ahead of Rast, not that too much between the pit stop times there. Over the line then comes Eki, and it's going to be mighty close, this, isn't it? Eki again, though, has got his tyres up to temperature. He'll be behind Muller, but still ahead of Rast. So that's sort of slotted in as you'd expect, really. Then Wickens, then Wittmann. So nobody's really gained or lost too much, I would say, out of those lead 6 pit stoppers that have already been in. Jamie Green is obviously opting to stay out as long as possible. So Green there. DeResta's up to what's going to be up into the top. It's going to be second now, isn't it, with the pit stops that have just happened.
I think the biggest winner out of all of that probably will be PAFFETT. It'll bring him to the bottom end of the points, possibly 8th, 9th, or 10th place. But considering where he was previously, that's actually quite a big result, as we see Wickens really working hard on the...
René Rast absolutely together with Robert Wickens, Marco Wittmann in there as well. Marco's got a great view, a grandstand view of all of this. Neither of them is going to give up. There's contact and up the inside of both of them. Potentially could come Wittmann. No, Wickens fends off René Rast. Rast loses the place though to Wittmann, who could see that coming, couldn't he, Marco Wittmann? He just sat back, let them battle it out, and thought, if you come together, a gap will open up and I can get stuck in. And that's exactly what he did. So that was smart driving from Wittmann. You can tell he's a two-time DTM champion.
Now, here's an instant. Will we see Muller just make it a little bit easy for Eki again to bring Eki into what would effectively be
damage on the left rear now.
Damage on the left rear.
It's unfortunate for Wickens, but you know, these cars are so easily damaged when you do have contact like that. Now, will Muller move over to allow Eki into what would effectively be second place when all the pit stops are done? The answer is going to be yes.
He is, and perfect place to do it, because neither of them will really lose any time with that manoeuvre. As we get Wickens, who's been on the radio complaining, oh yeah, big damage, bodywork dragged along, isn't this? He's not looking good at all, I'm afraid, for Marco Wittmann. Was not the driver that came together with him, it was René Rast, who's one behind them now, and he's dropping back as well. So as Rast maybe got a bit of an issue with the car after that contact as well. It was a fairly heavy hit. Trying to be careful not to pick up any debris and a puncture himself here as Marco Wittmann, as Jamie Green into the pits, the race leader.
Is that Wickens damage or is that Rast damage lodged in Wickens' car?
Could be, could be. Here is Jamie Green, and if he can get a decent stop of 7 seconds to 8 seconds, that will be pretty good enough. He had a pretty decent advantage. 8.1, that makes life a bit harder. From second, Paul DeResta comes in. He was hovering around the tail end of the points, wasn't he, before they all started coming into the pits. So there is Jamie Green. Where is he going to come out in relation to Ekström and Muller? He's going to be still well clear of them, but he will lose some of that time.
Decent advantage.
Rob Wickens on the radio, giving as much feedback as he can to the team, and there it is. Yeah, Rast is behind Martin now, so Rast is definitely walking wounded with that car, isn't he?
Yes, and I wonder it's going to be a matter of time before Wittmann passes.
Problem for
Wickens, I think.
Problem for any Rast. He's already been in the pits as well.
Oh,
look at that! Trying to outbrake and going way deep into the corner there. Marco Wittmann just about gets it back onto the track before Maxime Martin can benefit from that. His BMW brand mate, Maxime Martin, and then you got René Rast, and then we have got Gary PAFFETT ahead of ROCKENFELLER, and Rast now goes at the inside. There's contact with Maxime Martin, spins around right across the bows of Gary PAFFETT. He lights up the rear tyres as he tries to get it pointed back in the right direction, but he has to wait for a gap in the traffic, gets out just in front of Farfus. Well, that might be Rast potentially heading back for the pits. So a battling drive it has been, but a war wounds aplenty, I'm afraid, for René Rast and a few around him. And kept from a long way back, didn't he?
That wasn't on. That really wasn't on, I'm afraid.
Maxime Martin has been quite sort of chipping away, hasn't he, of those pit stoppers? And around he went. He had no chance of controlling that. Big hit at those speeds.
He's not even really hit him. He's not even really hit him. He's actually lost it because he's taking far too much speed. And that move was never on.
Unless there was an issue with the brakes, because he did come from a long way back, and it would have been very ambitious if he meant to do that as a move. So you wonder, he's fighting the wheel now. He's got real problems with his car, hasn't he, as a result of that. And the replay there, he lost more positions. Jamie Green weaving to try and generate heat in the tyres, but with this nice cushion back to Mattias Ekström and Nico Muller. Audi's 1, 2 and 3 effectively once the pit stops are sorted. Mortara leads at the moment. He hasn't been in the pits, nor has Spengler, nor has Duval, nor has Engel. They are the top 4. Everybody else has already been in though, so fairly early after a pit stops in this race.
And looking at the timings for Spengler, Duval and Engel, when they do pit, will probably drop them in around 14, 15, 16 positions. So for, yes, it'll bring Of course, Mortara has to pit as well, so and he'll drop back to the 13th, 14th place. Hasn't really worked out for Lucas Auer at the moment. He's at 13th place overall. That will become 9th or 10th place when all the pit stops are done. But he's in the early 25s, chasing down Mike Rockenfeller. He's 0.8 of a second behind. Needs to be a bit closer to that. Yeah,
1:24.6 last time around, whereas second place Spengler, third place Duval are in the low 125s. So but mid 124s is good pace. So as long as the pace is there, there's no real reason to come into the pits yet. The tyre degradation obviously is not a factor yet from Mortara. Rocky now starts to eye up a position here on Gary Paffett. Rocky in the number 99 car, the green and yellow Audi there, trying to apply the pressure. And we get a replay of this Marco Wittmann attempt. He looked to the inside, he tried to dummy across to the outside and just ran out of road, didn't he? Outbraked himself, went deep into the corner and just about fended off Maxime Martin.
I think Wittmann was carrying too much speed in there. He probably maybe should have gotten out of that a little bit earlier on once Wickens started to move, because it was always going to shut the door. And it almost cost him a position to Martin, who incidentally probably backed him into Rast's in their incident later on. But here we go. It's
Lucas Auer coming into the fray on Rockenfeller. Glock's caught up as well, hasn't he? So it's sort of coming back to them now. And Lucas Auer is getting a good run coming out of the corner here. Mike Rockenfeller is trying. Well, he was trying to attack Gary Paffett. He's now more worried about trying to fend off Lucas Auer, the driver, second in the championship. And of course, Mike Rockenfeller still, with a chance of winning the championship. But also remember, his teammate, his brandmate at Audi, is Lucas Auer's key rival, Mattias Ekström. So that Audi, I think, is going to become a very, very wide Audi for the next couple of laps.
Rocky's pace isn't great at the moment. That's mostly because I think Paffett just ahead of them is holding up. Paffett is dropping into the mid 1 minute 25s. We have Auer and everyone below in the mid to late 24s. And it's just actually Paffett now on the oldest tyres in this race is beginning to lose a little bit of pace. And that's actually dropping Rocky into the clutches of Auer.
There is Jamie Green, who you could tell from the way he attacked that qualifying session this morning, is a man on a mission this weekend, knowing that he's just got to try, get poles, get wins, and that might just drag him back into the championship fight going into Hockenheim. He's got a chance here. Rockenfeller now having a look around Paffett to try and get the position. So a couple of laps ago he's on the attack. Last lap he's on the defence from Auer. Now he's back on the attack with Gary Paffett here. And Paffett, as you say, perhaps beginning to struggle with those tyres a bit. Mike Rockenfeller draws alongside. You got the view from Lucas Auer's Mercedes just behind, and he's through. Gets across. Clean, fair move that. Mike Rockenfeller ahead of Gary Paffett, who now is going to come under fire from Lucas Auer. Lucas Auer, of course, championship leader. Surely he's going to make that gap a little bit more easy for Auer, and he does, and Auer comes through, and that, you'd say, championship-wise is the right thing to do. So Gary Paffett now slots in just in front of Timo GLOCK's BMW, but struggling a bit there. But Mike Rockenfeller created a gap and committed himself on that run up towards turn 2. And to be fair to Gary, he gave him room enough, good clean past that.
Indicative that Paffett, the guy just ahead of him a few moments ago, Maxime Martin, was 1 second a lap faster than Gary Paffett. So I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle from here on in for the Mercedes. And, you know, it was a really good strategy, but maybe over the length of this race, probably not going to work as well as he imagined. What's actually happening now, most interestingly, is Mortara, Spengler, Duval, Engel have still not pitted. They're actually still doing decent times in the mid to late 24s. And it's actually putting them in a position where when they stop, it will actually drop them into the pack.
But what about the real race leaders? Green, Ekström, Muller, 5th, 6th and 7th, all having pitted. A 1:24.6 for Green last time around, a 1:24.2 for Ekström, and even quicker with a 1:24.0 was Muller. So third effectively is catching second, which effectively is catching first once all the pit stops are done and dusted.
But I think the main issue here is they will probably, if the current pace is held, that they may slot in somewhere around the Wickens-Wittmann Martin region, and that could be absolutely key if they.
So there is Edo Mortara, who was running towards the tail end of the field before everybody came in. He's staying out longer. His pace is still pretty decent, 1:24.7s, but unlikely he's going to be in the points once it all settles down. Then in Spengler, 1:24.8 just behind. He's got pretty decent pace as well. Again, yet to pit, and we're hopeful of getting some points, but we'll have a tall order to do that. So Mortara leads, Spengler second, Duval third, and Engel fourth. But they have still to pit, and they might leave it as late as they want in this race. There's still 24 minutes and a half to go, plus 1 lap at the end of that. But concern here for Green is that Ekström and Muller both catching him up here. 3 Audis concertinaing up in 5th, 6th and 7th, having had their pit stops. Augusto Farfus has just gone across the line here with René Rast right behind him.
Now, the other issue for the likes of WICKENS and Wittmann and Martin behind is WICKENS is still the slowest of the bunch because he still has a little bit of damage from the clash with earlier on in this race. So I think it's going to be very, very, very close. It's currently 27.2 seconds, or sorry, 26 seconds that WICKENS is behind Mortara. So Mortara is still 1/10 of a second of lap, but it's going to be very, very, very close.
Martin's having a good race here as well. Maxime Martin and Mike Rockenfeller several times this year proven that they can pit early and make the tyres last. I would throw Mattias Ekström into that category as well. So they're pretty kind to the tyres, those drivers, and he's having a good run here, Maxime Martin, in the BMW. And a personal best lap for Mortara you've just spotted there.
1:24.5. So he's actually maintaining. I think Spengler and Duval are beginning to drop off slightly, and I think they may have hit the plateau where they've actually had the best of their tyres, where Mortara is just still eking it out bit by bit, and he's not under pressure. Mortara's 2.2 ahead of Spengler at the moment. He's actually still able to eke out that time without worrying about anyone behind him. WICKENS lost almost a second on that lap alone. So
Mike Rockenfeller's just done a personal best lap, 1:24.0, currently running in 11th place, but it should be up to 7th once the pit stop as the top 4 come in and likely drop out of the top 10. Timo GLOCK now is lining up a move on Gary Paffett here, the BMW, the bright yellow BMW versus Gary Paffett's Mercedes. And Gary now is having to go on the defensive here as Timo GLOCK drawls alongside in the team RMR. BMW gets a better run coming out of the corner, more traction on his Hankook tyres alongside now. He'll have the better line for the corner coming up when they eventually get there, and it should be past done. Gary Paffett's not going to make life easy. Got pulled a RESTA just behind them as well, but Timo should be there, and through he goes, squeezing through ahead of Gary Paffett. So that now puts him up to 13th place overall. It should put him in the points, as I say, once those lead 4 eventually make their pit stops. But Rocky pushing on hard. A 1:24.0 for him was a good lap last time around, and was the best part of a second quicker than Maxime Martin, who's just up the road from him.
Mortara was faster on that last lap than WICKENS, Wittmann and Martin. And the gap is just edging closer to that pit stop window that he can actually probably drop into 7th or 8th place. The big key is, though, you then lose all that time on the out lap because your tyres are not up to temperature, so that's going to be a big fight. But Mortara could pull off, actually, considering how awful his start was, that would actually be quite a result if he could still pull some points from this. But it's the gap is 28 seconds now between race leader Mortara and 8th place WICKENS, who was originally running 4th in this race. So
that's right, he's doing well though, carrying that damage to the side of the car. But the hope is that there is, in terms of the damage to that car, it doesn't get any worse and bits don't start flying off the car, and that becomes a worry in terms of race punctures. So Green will effectively be the race leader, but he's only 1.7 seconds clear of Ekström. Muller, who's in 7th place at the moment, is effectively in 3rd position, just a second behind them. And then you've got this gap back to this next group, WICKENS, who will resume, or should resume, in 4th place once the top 4, as I say, pit, and likely the top 4 drop out of the top 10. So this effectively the battle for 4th, 5th WICKENS there in the WICKENS, and then Wittmann just behind, and then Maxime Martin, and Mike Rockenfeller doing his best to catch them all up. And then Lucas Auer, who is going to be in the points, but how many is he going to get in this race is the question. There is Rockenfeller, and you can see how quickly he's catching up to the tail end of Maxime Martin. 1:24.0 and a 1:24.2, but his last 2 laps, whereas Maxime Martin has been in the high and then mid 1:25. So the gap absolutely charging down. Mike Rockenfeller, another driver well capable of managing his tyres and looking after his tyres. And Rocky on the attack here is 11th at the moment, but this effectively is a battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. So Rocky joins the party in the Audi.
And WICKENS has lost an awful lot of time to Muller out front. I think such as the damage on his car, he's actually just been losing half a second, half a second, half a second, half a second. I'm still thinking, although he may have some damage, I think that really was probably just actually parts of Rast's car that was lodged in his car, because it's actually departed. It's actually still kind of there, down by the lower wheel arches, the wheel arches on the Yeah, it's still there.
He's doing a decent job though with that, and perhaps the car maybe not quite handling right. Still in the low 125s, but as I say, you got Rocky up there. Mortara comes in.
So watch the gap.
The lead of the race.
Watch the gap to Wickens. This is key because the gap is 25.5 seconds. He may only need 26.
So he's going to be behind that group and will probably slot in just outside the top 10. Let's have a look. Mortara there. 6.6 seconds, a good stop. Lucas Auer is going to be coming out probably just behind him, I would say. So Mortara should slot in behind Rockenfeller and ahead of Auer. So that will be 11th place as it stands. The top three still to make their pit stop. So there's that group. He's going to come out, I think, behind Rocky, but possibly just in front of Lucas Auer. Here is Lucas Auer.
It's close, actually. You know what? It's close.
Ooh, it is close. Maxime Martin is going to have more grip, though. The tyres are up to temperature. Mike Rockenfeller might have a bit of a harder job here. So, chance there for you, Rocky, to get through on Mortara. He's got to commit to this. He does commit to it. Comes all the way around the outside, but hogging the inside line here is Edo Mortara. But look how the car squirms around as he gets on the accelerator. Can't hold that horsepower with cold tyres, and so he slips back behind the Rockenfeller car, ahead of Auer, but Auer, of course, is championship contender. He's probably going to make life fairly easy for Lucas Auer once he catches up to him to come through. Auer's next job is to then try and get onto the tail end of this group in the battle for 4th place. So Auer still could get some decent points out of this race after a struggle in the qualifying session this morning. Super job so far, though, by the Canadian Robert Wickens, doing a very nice job here. Mercedes, of course, have announced in recent months that they are dropping out of DTM at the end of 2018, but still want to retain their drivers, they've said, and Wickens has said, you know, he's looking at potentially different things in the future. Formula E is mentioned, IndyCar, we know he's had an interest in recent times as well, but still showing what a very capable DTM driver he is, and actually pulling away now, isn't he, coming out of the corner?
That was a very good effort, actually, by Mortara to actually get him to run a solid enough pace that he's 11th place, knowing that Spengler, Duval, Engler still have to pit, so he will come out in net 8th place. Considering, as I said, at the start of that race, he dropped to absolute dead last. Yeah. That's a very, very, very good strategy, and was very close to actually, and was in that Wickens to Rocky Park.
Mortara was the driver that looked like he had a pretty good qualifying pace, but never quite hooked a lap up on his very best lap in the first part of the session. He looked like he was going to get a really good lap. He had a personal best in one sector, an overall best in another sector, and then just ran wide coming out of the last turn. It ruined the lap. So he's got decent pace. There is the switch around. That is Auer breezing past the 48 car of Mortara. As you'd expect, really, Mortara, even though he was a championship contender last year, he's not had the best of seasons, I think it's fair to say, in his first season with Mercedes, whereas Lucas Auer, with a very similar liveried car, of course, has a very real chance of the championship title. I don't think Timo GLOCK is going to find it quite so easy to come past, as we now get Spengler and Duval almost nose to tail coming into the pits. So Maro Engel, not for the first time this year, is the last one, the only one that has not been in the pits. So there's going to be a race between those two pit crews, and will they come out somewhere perhaps just around Edo Mortara?
I think
probably be a few seconds behind him. I think.
Yeah, I think
GLOCK.
They had lost about 5-6 seconds on Mortara.
That's right, isn't it? As they come out of the pits boxes together.
So I think
Spengler just ahead though.
Yeah, they're going to right to the back of this pack, I think.
And there's the RESTA. Around about Gary Paffett is the answer. Gary should be just about coming out in between them, I think. Look at this, yeah. Gary Paffett slots in behind Spengler, but Gary, well, you say his tyres are up to temperature, because his tyres are pretty old now as well, so it's not necessarily going to be that easy for Gary to get through on Bruno Spengler. But he's not a former champion for nothing. Gary Paffett needs no second invitation. At the inside of Spengler he goes, but of course Spengler is going to have a lovely fresh set of tyres later on in the race to try and gain those positions back. But they are the minor positions in the race, and this is somebody going for a race win, Jamie Green. Mattias Ekström, the gap was coming down a few laps ago. It's sort of stabilised in recent laps, so starting to control things now is Jamie Green here. He's not yet leading the race because Maro Engel is yet to pit, but he's second, will be second overall.
It hasn't really worked out that well for Engel, Spengler and Duval. They stayed out a little bit too long, didn't really have the pace at this stage in the race to make it work, and it's just all it's really done is drop them back into the pack. But you know, sometimes you just got to try it. You know, when you're coming from the rear of the field and you're looking for a score, sometimes you need to throw these odd strategies like pitting on the first lap or pitting really late in the race to actually make it work.
Well, you never know when the safety car could come out and change all of it as well, as has happened several times this season already. But certainly a big winner, as you say, Mortara. It looks like he could maybe sneak some points out of this race. Now he's in 10th spot. Timo GLOCK behind him in 11th. And they probably will get promoted up to 9th and 10th because Engel, I think, will slot in behind them once he comes out of the lead of the race. Farfus, I'm afraid, coming into the pits again, though, for what is the second time in the race. So the luckless Augusto Farfus in with what looks like another problem, I'm afraid.
Very difficult season for Farfus. It's really not maybe worked quite as well since, as we see the guys from the Engels pit box actually come out with their tyres. I think he's going to stop maybe at the end of this lap. Yeah, it hasn't really worked for Farfus as well since he's a championship charge in 2013. But
slightly better on the last couple of rounds. He's been consistently getting points, and he had a 6th, a couple of 8ths and a 9th. But prior to that, it had been a pretty miserable season. And at times, just no luck. Quick and in a good position, but coming off second best in a few knocks along the way. So Augusto Farfus, very likeable Brazilian. A bit of bad luck for him as Mauro Engel comes in from the lead of the race. I think he's going to slot in mid-pack somewhere. But then Jamie Green will re-inherit the lead of the race, as it was before all the pit stops started to happen. And Augusto getting out of the car, out of another race, another retirement, I'm afraid, for Augusto. He's not had too many retirements, he just hasn't had too many top point-scoring races this year. Mauro Engel is going to slot out, I think, behind Loic Duval. Duval there, coming up into the right-hander now. Yeah, Duval should get there, I think, just about. And we'll be on warmer tyres anyway. And, yeah, he's easily through. In fact, the next group comes through as well.
Actually, it's going to be last, so Engel comes out last. Yeah, Engel, unfortunately, just didn't have the pace. He was in the 1:25s, and it just wasn't quick enough to be able to actually jump any drivers ahead. And the drivers who have changed have maintained enough space to kind of re-jump him in that pit stop stage.
So all in all, you'd probably say not many people gained or lost too much with their different strategies in that race, except Edo Mortara up into the points, which, as you say, looked unlikely at the end of the first lap, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Mortara, very good job. I think he pitted at the right time. You can't leave it too late because your tyres just wear out and you start losing time. You can't do like a PAFFETT either, pit too early, because his paces, for the most part, fallen off the cliff. He's in the mid 1:25s. All the guys ahead of him are mid to late 1:24s. So you need to find a common ground here. You can't pit on lap 1. You can't pit 2 laps from the end. You need to find a maybe 2/3, 1/3 mark.
And ultimately, the car needs to be quick enough. And certainly Gary has struggled with the car a bit this weekend. So do what you like with the strategy, but the car at the end of the day has got to be quick enough here. Let's go on board with Lucas Auer. So Green leads by 1.5 seconds from Ekström. Muller in 3rd place, another 1 second back. They've all 3 of them just done a 1:24.3. So there's nothing in terms of lap times. Green was fractionally quicker, but it was fractional. Then you've got a big gap back to Robert Wickens, who is nearly 20 seconds down on the race leader. Championship prediction based on the current positions then is that Mattias Ekström is going to be at 14 points clear, but Jamie Green will move up into 2nd place. He moved from 5th to 4th after qualifying. He'll move up to 2nd place with this race win, and Lucas Auer will be 3rd on 131 points. Marco Wittmann will be back up into 4th place.
And as we noted earlier on, Green was, unlike Muller, Green was not going to give up the lead of the race for Eki, because he's still very much in with a shout at his championship. Absolutely. And that tells you right there. One of the key things,
the way he went for that pole position this morning, he believes he can still win this championship.
We're getting to the stage now, Chris, where we're running shy on DRS as well. Wittmann has been behind Wickens for pretty much all of this race, and he's just down to 1 DRS lap. He's running out of opportunities to take Wickens, who with a damaged car has driven actually very well. Behind Wittmann, you've got Maxime Martin. He's only got 2 DRS left. And then Rocky in 7th place, who's 4/10 behind Martin. He's got 5 DRS laps. So Martin is, so Rocky's almost at the point in this race where he can actually start using his DRS with abandon, because with 10 minutes left, that's what, 7-8 laps.
And you can see the difference in terms of having new tyres, and the cars were quick anyway, the drivers were quick anyway here, but the top 3 are in the low 124s, the next group are in the low 125s, so there's kind of a second a lap difference between Green, Ekström, Muller, and then the rest of them being backed up now behind Robert Wickens in 4th place, as Mike Rockenfeller gets a run coming up towards turn 2.
And he has
a look at the outside of Maxime Martin. Maxime has got fairly old tyres. Mike Rockenfeller's got pretty old tyres as well. And can he find a way through? Still time to talk and give feedback to the team. And there feigns an insert one way, goes to the outside line here. He can't get through here. It's going to be on the exit of the corner. He'll try and get a better run. It's worth trying. He's got nobody right behind him, so he could try these different lines. If you just stick to the same line as the driver ahead of you, you can't get on the throttle until they get on the throttle. So it's worth sweeping out wide sometimes, just so you can try and carry your extra speed on the way out of the corner. But Maxime Martin is wise to all of this and hangs on to 6th place. Behind them, you've got a couple about 1.2 seconds gap back to Lucas Auer, who's in 8th place. And with fresh tyres, Edu Mortara is catching up to Lucas Auer, but of course he's unlikely to get past him because he's already let him through once, as Auer is the key Mercedes driver in terms of the championship.
Now,
so there is this group. Don't look in the mirrors, Rob Wickens, because you've got a massive queue of DTM cars all breathing down your neck, but he's controlling it. And the longer it goes on, the better it starts to look for the Canadian driver, because they're sort of slightly running out of ideas of where to find a way through, aren't they? Marco Wittmann actually is not really, you'd say, all over the rear wing of Robert Wickens. He's staying with him, but he's not exactly applying a lot of pressure at the moment.
And I think Wittmann has been trying to find an opportunity to get by, but not succeeded. Now, the interesting thing, Chris, is you need to be within 1 second to use DRS, and you get your free opportunities during the lap. Well, now, Mattias Ekström did a 1:24.5 last lap around. Green had a 1 minute 24.9. That gap is bang on 1 second. So does this become a championship battle?
But they might be ganging up on him as well, because you've got Nico Muller, who's quicker than both of them. For the last couple of laps, Nico has been 1 or 2 tenths quicker. So again, third catching second, both of them catching the race leader for the last 2 laps. Let's see what Jamie Green can do here in terms of his lap time. Very fresh tyres for him, of course.
The gap now 0.9. Eki 1/10 quicker in sectors 1 and sector 3, but Green pulls out a 10th himself in sector 2. So 0.9, it's not close enough. You really need to almost be 0.4 behind, 0.3 behind to really make DRS work. And even that's at a bit of a stretch. But what it will allow Eki to do is pull up to the rear of Green and maybe try for a move later on. But he needs to be fast about it. He's got 7.5 minutes left in this race, plus 1 lap, but he has got 9 DRS. Green, of course, the only guy who actually hasn't used any DRS in this race, because he's effectively...
hasn't needed to, has he?
Well, he hasn't needed to, but when he was leading the race, he couldn't use it then, but when he actually pitted, he was actually so far behind the next person, he couldn't use it then either, so he's not had the opportunity. Eki, meanwhile, sets a personal best in sector 1, 2.5 tenths faster than Green there. It's now 3/4 of a second. He's closing on his Audi stablemate. Loses another couple of tenths in sector 2, and I think Green really is set up to go quicker through sector 2.
Anybody who's watched Mattias Ekström over the years knows that he is not shy in coming forward. If there is an opportunity, he'll go for it. And what a time it would be this weekend to get his first race win of the season. Mattias Ekström, 10 years since he last won the championship in 2007, the most experienced driver out there, 22 race wins in his career, 76 pole positions. But you got Jamie Green just ahead, who is also one of the most experienced, most winning drivers out there. Jamie, not the champion, but close to winning it, as I mentioned earlier on. Has had 15 wins, 36 podiums, and over 150 races under his belt. So this is a real battle here, but Ekström has got the run here. He's got the DRS. If he can use the DRS and get through, of course, Green would have then the advantage of DRS afterwards. He's using it now. He's closing up that gap. You've got Nico Muller lurking in the shadows as well, just behind them. What a fascinating final 6 minutes or so of this race we are going to have. Less than 6 minutes to go, plus 1 lap after this. Ekström is there now, but Jamie Green, he's going to have to work really hard coming out of the corners. Dieter Gas here. He's got the top 3, but he's also got a championship to worry about, not just for the drivers, but for the manufacturers' championship as well. So he doesn't want them to wipe each other out here and allow everybody else to gain an advantage as a result of that. Green is very quick, as we've seen all day long in this middle sector. They've already made their way out down towards Red Corner now, over the brows of this beautiful circuit here in the mountains. Now you can see the pit stop rankings between them. Mattias Ekström gained about 0.4 of a second in terms of the pit stop time. Overall top speed is higher for Mattias Ekström as well, over 250 kilometres an hour. Impressive that, isn't it, as the crowd watches on.
And that was on that last lap alone. He set that highest pace in sector 1, where he took 3 tenths out of Jamie Green. Ekke's 2/10 quicker on that last lap. It's 0.4 of a second. Muller 0.6 behind Ecke, and only 1 second behind the leader. Is Ecke going to have a go for the lead here? He's used DRS. He goes down the inside. Green pretty much keeps the door open, plays it, plays the team game.
Well, Jamie knows that Mattias Ekström's coming up the inside. Jamie now knows, all right, I've got DRS now. I've got plenty of time, 4.5 minutes plus 1 lap to get you back. So can he do it? As we say, it's not as clear-cut as Ekström is the lead driver, because Jamie Green is still very much a championship contender here. Also, the problem for him is that Nico Müller is very, very quick at the moment, just as quick, and at times quicker than both of these drivers. So if he attacks, he's going to be absolutely sure he comes through here. Slightly, probably a slightly frustrating race this for Nico Müller, because he's got the pace to battle for a race win here, but can't really get involved as we get the replay of the move, because he's got these two brand mates who are going between them for potential championship glory here.
And what I think the real situation there for Green and Ekke's, they know, yes, it's Audi stablemates either side of them. He's not going to maybe be as aggressive as he would be against the Mercedes drivers, because you don't, obviously, again, you don't want to take your teammate out, and he's dropping back. He's into the 125s. He lost 1.3 seconds to Ecke on that lap.
Yeah, Müller is now catching up, but as Müller, unless he absolutely has to, he's going to sit behind Jamie Green. They've got this big buffer back to Robert Wickens and Marco Wittmann in 4th and 5th positions here, so they can sort of have their own internal fight here. Look at the gap, you can hardly see anybody in the background. These three have been absolute quality here today, the class of the field, these three drivers, but Ecke, that 1 lap since he got through, has pulled the best part of 3/4 of a second clear. So as Jamie Green just struggling a bit here, 125.9. I know he had to let Ekström through, but that wasn't a good lap. And can he gather something back here? Can he dig deep, or is the car and the tyres just not got anything left in them? Once again, Ecke doing a great job here, and that changes the championship, doesn't it? 162 points for him, Green 134, and Lucas Auer 131 points. So as it stands, 28 points would be the difference, and after this race 84 points remain. 3 lots of 25 for race wins, plus 3 more qualifying sessions where you can get 3 points apiece as well. So 84 points left, 28 points clear, starting to look very, very good indeed for Mattias Ekström. Yet to win a race this year, but now on course to get his first victory of 2017.
That swap between Ecke and Green effectively is a 14-point swing.
Yep.
And it still leaves Green second in the championship, ahead of Lucas Auer, who's still going to be under a little bit of pressure from René Rast, who isn't scoring today. He's down in 14th place. Auer, if it stays as it is, will get 4 points for P8, but 25 for Ecke.
I wouldn't entirely rule René Rast trying to go for some points. He's flying because he's got good tyres on. He's in the low 124s.
Well, he's in 13th because he's actually taken Loic Duval. His Audi stablemate. He may have a little bit more trouble when trying to go for Bruno Spengler. A minute and a half left in this race, plus 1 lap. Ekström has a 1.1 second lead over Jamie Green, and an additional half a second over Müller, and then you got a long wait to Wickens, over 21 seconds behind Nico Müller.
So we've still got this queue behind Robert Wickens in 4th place. Done a super job in this race. Had that attack from René Rast. René Rast then getting into more trouble later on, and now trying to charge his way through from the back of the field up to 13th, flying a second, a lap quicker than lots of those drivers ahead of him, but running out of time. On board with Lucas Auer there. The right foot comes off the accelerator, and the pink boots as he hangs onto the car here. So physical, these DTM machines. 400 brake horsepower, trying to close the gap to Mike Rockenfeller, who's got his wingman Edo Mortara behind in 9th place, before you get Timo GLOCK, who's in the last of the points-paying positions in 10th place. But there's only 0.3, 0.4 of a second gaps between the next 3 or 4 cars. Somewhere in the background there is René Rast trying to find a way past Bruno Spengler for 12th place, but it's going to have to be some last lap, isn't it, to get into the points there. But Rast definitely has got the pace, so that's not a worry for him for tomorrow. He's flying, but it's been a rough race this for René Rast. He came into the race in 3rd place in the championship standings. So 16 seconds left on the clock, plus 1 lap next time they come around. And the race leader, Mattias Ekström, is now 1.2 seconds clear. 125.1 for him, 125.3 for Jamie Green. I don't think Jamie's got anything left to fight with. He hasn't got the pace at the moment to be able to do anything about Mattias Ekström, has he?
I think the Audis have settled into a formation, to be honest, Chris, because they all dropped. Even Muller's dropped his pace well off. It's slower than WICKENS. So I think they've settled for what is. Let's be honest. It's an Audi 1-2-3. That is an astonishing result.
Not too bad, yeah. That'll be Audi's 5th win here at Spielberg at this configuration of the circuit, the Red Bull Ring. Mattias Ekström then going along very nicely indeed, thank you. It's been the perfect race so far. The clock has ticked down to 0, so he's about to start the final lap of the race here at the Red Bull Ring. Through he comes. And the Audi of Jamie Green, 125.1. He hasn't given up yet. Jamie never gives up, does he? 0.9 of a second. He's got the gap back down, and he's within DRS again. Are we going to have a phenomenal last lap here? Jamie Green's got to go for it, really, hasn't he? If he gets half a chance, he's got to go for it. But he can't. He can't upset the employers either and wipe both of them out. Nico Muller just sits back and watches.
And it says an awful lot. Remember, Uli Fritz said before the race that the Mercedes team principle, that Audi look absolutely superb on this track, and so it's proved today. They have been absolutely brilliant. And Rocky, he's running 7th place.
Jamie Green is gritting his teeth here and digging in, and suddenly it's looking a bit more possible, isn't it? And showing his nose almost here as we go to the final half lap of the race. Coming back downhill then, out of Pirelli, down this final sector. There's not really a clear-cut overtaking opportunity here, but Jamie Green is just going to keep up the pressure as much as he can here at the end of the race. But Mattias Ekström should be okay here for his first win of 2017. He can almost smell the checkered flag. He can almost taste the champagne. And that championship trophy comes a big step closer towards the Swede here. The checkered flag is out. It is waved. It's a 1-2-3 for Audi, and Mattias Ekström wins for the first time in 2017.
Very good job, P1. Very good job. Please stay pick up and save fuel.
Yeah, very good job indeed. You're absolutely right there on the radio. That wasn't too bad at all.
About time almost, really, for Eki, wasn't it?
Yeah, we can't really go for the championship without winning at least one, can you? A good drive this from Robert Wickens, who is going to cross the line with a queue of cars behind him. But excellent job, great start for him. And 4th place to him, Wittmann in 5th. Maxime Martin, good job as well in 6th place. Mike Rockenfeller 7th. Lucas Auer recovers to get some points at least, but drops out of 2nd place in the championship. Edo Mutara, the big gainer in all of that strategy, in 9th place. Picks up a couple of points. Timo GLOCK, the last of the point scorers, with just 0.3 of a second behind him, Paul de Resta. So Mattias Ekström wins, Jamie Green 2nd, Nico Muller in 3rd place. And there's a big smile on the face of Dieter Gas, because days like this don't come along too often, do they? There is Mattias Ekström, your race winner, and Verena has managed to catch up with Dieter Gas.
Yes, and he is a very, very happy man. Blue skies for Audi. Congratulations, a triple victory. You've got to be over the moon.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't have done a lot better, really. I'm very, very happy. We were a bit lucky that WICKENS was basically holding up the field. That made it a bit easier. He had some damage and had a good fight. We have seen overtakings very difficult here, but obviously we had a very good pace at the front, and I'm absolutely delighted.
I bet. And when we're looking at Eki, he's now got 28 points. He's ahead of everybody. Do you think we're looking at the future champion?
I hope so. I hope so. But at the end of the day, we're really longing so much for this Drivers' Championship, which we missed since 2013 when Mike won it. And I'm happy with Mattias wins it, but I'm happy for any other Audi driver as well. So we'll see what it will be. But it's not over yet. There's still 3 more races to go. Lucas Auer is very much in the mix, and we have to be looking forward to the next race first.
All right, thank you so much, Dieter Gas. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena, and yeah, well done to Audi. 1, 2, 3, great photo opportunity as well as they came across the line. Blue, orange and red, resplendent in the sunshine here in the Styrian Mountains. Mattias Ekström on the slowdown lap, waving to the very big, very enthusiastic crowd of fans that have gathered here at the Red Bull Ring. Always one of the best supported race weekends of the season there from the pit wall cam, the slow-mo as Mattias Ekström crossed the line to take the checkered flag. His 23rd career victory in the DTM, and he brings it in now to the holding area. There's going to be a big noise shortly, and it's going to be coming mostly from Audi, although there will be, I think, a warm smile on the faces of those at Mercedes. They've rescued a 4th place finish from that. They've got Auer some points in 8th place. Mattias will be pretty happy as well with his 9th place finish. So not where they want to be, but given where they started the race, they've made progress forward, those drivers and Mercedes, and they've got the chance to go even better tomorrow with another qualifying session and race to come, of course. So 0.3 of a second was all it was as they crossed the line, and the Audi drivers congratulate each other there. Mattias Ekström, Nico Müller, the rear gunner, but not having to drive too slowly in that, to hold people up, because it was the Audis away with everybody, as Dieter Gas said, with the contact between Robert Wickens and René Rast causing a bit of damage to Wickens' car. He had to be quite defensive and fend off everybody else, and that allowed the Audis to get away. Confirmation of the provisional results off screen then, and it was, 21 seconds back to 4th place to Robert Wickens, the lead Mercedes. Marco Wittmann, once again the lead BMW, up there in 5th place, but losing championship points to Ekström as well. And René Rast did finish in 13th place in the end. He caught up those ahead, but could have done with another couple of laps in that race. There's Jamie Green. Well, it's a good run. It's his best run for a while, but when he starts in pole position, there's only one thing he wants, isn't there? And that's to win the race. And he led the vast majority of it, but wasn't quite able to hang on there at the end. But to his enormous credit, when Ekström got alongside him, he played fair, he played clean, didn't he?
Yes.
Well, there is Eki, all smiles, taking the gum shield out. A warm handshake there, I think.
Yeah, he looks very, very disappointed. He knows this is a race that he could have won, and but Eki, has the lead. And yeah, it's a good podium for Jamie Green, 2nd in the championship ahead of Auer. Very, very useful points.
It's just that the one man he didn't really want to finish in front of him was Ekström, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because he's outgunned everybody else, moved up to 2nd. I mean, he was 5th in the championship before today, so it's been a good day. But it could have been a win, could have been even better. And racing drivers always want more, don't they? Understandably so. So, as we wait for the drivers to ascend to the podium, let's get some super slow-mos of our top 3. In the Playboy Audi RS5, it was Nico Müller coming home in 3rd place. A good drive that. As I said, he's had a bit of stick recently from others, but that is his first podium of 2017. Jamie Green coming home in 2nd place. Not the win that he wanted, but that's his 3rd podium of the season, and it's his first podium since the Lausitz Ring, the 2nd event of the year back in the spring. So all in all, a good day gained for Jamie. 18 points for the 2nd place finish, plus of course he got the 3 points for securing pole position in the qualifying session this morning. There'll be nobody happier though than Mattias Ekström, the 2004 and 2007 champion, now leading by 28 points this year's DTM with 3 races to go. And here the great tracking shots of Mattias, who just put together the perfect race really. Didn't win by much, getting through with a couple of laps to go to take the probably one of the most important race victories certainly of his recent career. Incredible that this driver, after all these years in the DTM, is still so hungry, so competitive, and still, as you've seen, so very, very capable. 2001, Mattias Ekström made his debut. 38 years of age, 39 years of age now. A couple of months ago he turned. And as quick as ever, Eki, a real star. The race winner today, Jamie Green, and Nico Müller up there on the podium with him. So, a very good day for Nico Müller, his first podium of 2017. Let's get his reaction with Verena Reed.
Yes, a very brilliant result for you, Nico. Congratulations. You really did a fantastic job. And how does it feel, 3rd place?
Yeah, very happy, finally. I mean, I think the team has deserved that since a long time. And to do it when Mattias wins the race, I think is super good for the team. Our team manager, Thomas, has his birthday today, so I think that's a very good present. No, I'm super pleased and already looking forward to tomorrow.
Fantastic. Thank you so much and enjoy the little champagne shower. Back to you.
Yes, I think he will. Yes, another day to work through tomorrow, but they can enjoy the taste of champagne for now then. So just to refresh the points after that race, Mattias Ekström moves on to 162. That's 28 points clear with 84 still on the board. And Jamie Green moving from 5th at the start of the day up to 2nd place. Lucas Auer just 3 points behind him in 3rd place, still in with a good chance, not a really, really good chance anymore, but still a good chance. Marco Wittmann there makes his way back to his team garage after finishing in 5th place. As we get the drivers now up onto the podium here at the Red Bull Ring, right to the top step of the podium. It's been a while, but he's timed it perfectly, hasn't he, to get his race victory. Mattias Ekström. And a warm reception as well for Jamie Green, who played his part in that race. 2nd place. Not ecstatic, but it's not been a bad day for Jamie, and a very good day as well for Nico Muller, who had excellent pace in that race, but never really was able to have the opportunity to get involved in the fight for the win with the championship at stake, and he's not one of the drivers involved in that. And so we get the national anthem of our race winner. So the Swedish national anthem plays across the tannoys here in Austria as Mattias Ekström is about to collect his winner's trophy. It's his 2nd win here at Spielberg. He won in 2015. He becomes the 3rd double winner at the event as he receives his trophy. Great looking trophy as well here at the Red Bull Ring. The bull, what else would it be? Goes to the lion, to Mattias Ekström. And Max France, who's going to be racing in the Audi TT Cup this weekend, the ski star, presenting the trophy to the winning team here with Audi Sport Team Apps taking the victory. Thomas Biermeier, the motorsport director, celebrating his birthday, as Nico Muller said, and Jamie Green getting his 2nd place trophy.
From Carl Wengninger, former Sauber Formula 1 driver.
Yeah, good to see Carl. Hasn't aged too badly at all, has it? Been a while since we've seen Carl, but he's still looking good. It's Christoph Forstatter, another Austrian freestyle skier here in the mountains of Austria. Snow on the caps of the mountains. It will not be long before they are snow-covered mountains here in this beautiful part of the world. Presents the final trophy to Nico Muller. So, eager to get going with the champagne sprays, Mattias Ekström. Hang on, they say, you've got to wait a minute, you've got your photos first. You can't wait for this, though. I fear for the other two, because Mattias is a bit of a demon when it comes to champagne sprays. They receive a very warm round of applause, and a day to savour this for Audi. Right, race for the champagne now. Off he goes. Nico Muller on the attack as well. Rather than getting each other, they're getting the team down below who've scarpered. I can tell you from the commentary box, we can see they've got about as far back and as close to the pit wall as they can. They are still getting pretty wet. Smile for Jamie Green. Good day that. And, well, it's still doable, but it's going to be tough for Jamie now. But good win tomorrow. If something goes wrong for the others, back in the mix.
I think there's going to be a big debrief tonight from Mercedes and BMW as to how to try and topple Audi, because as we said before the start of the race, there's no more performance weights, there's no more balancing of performance. So I think we really have seen Audi just as the class car of the field today.
Yeah, but as we had, probably closer than it really looked, with that cork in the bottle being Robert Wickens. So what a day it has been for Mattias Ekström, but he knows he's been here before, he's won championships before. He knows the job is not yet done. 3 races to go though, Verena, and he can taste that trophy now. He's the championship leader.
He certainly is a championship leader. Eki, allow me to interrupt the little conversation there with the guys, but being live, I just have to interrupt. I'm sorry. Congratulations, Eki. A fantastic race you did there. Do you think that was your masterpiece? And after all, now 28 points ahead, leading the championship.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice hearing the Swedish national anthem on the podium, and that's nice. But I learned from a speedway rider, he said it's nice to hear it, but what really counts is the last one. That means we still have a long way to go, and for sure it looks better than being behind, but I know this sport can change very fast, and there's still a lot of points to fight for. So we will continue to stay focused, but for sure enjoy this moment a bit as well.
I was just going to say, and are you now looking forward to tomorrow even more, knowing how dominant you are and Audi as well?
I think it easy can change. I mean, yesterday I was pretty sure that we would be good today because I felt good straight away. But I must say also my team colleagues, everybody are pretty fast. So you have to watch your focus in the qualifying to be up front, because once you're in the middle of the pack, action gets very high. So focus in qualifying, focus in the race, and try to make what we can here. But still, Hockenheim is also to come. So, you know, it's not far from over.
Absolutely. And with 28 points ahead, hopefully also, do you think your Audi colleagues will be generous in the next races?
Yeah, I think everybody will be competitive. So see Jamie, see Nico, René, Mike and Loic. I think we have been showing that we are very strong when we get our act together, which is quite nice to see. And you have to be in their toes to be in front.
Right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Eki, and back to you.
Thanks very much. Well done, Verena, for grabbing a word with our race winner. I think fair to say, feet firmly planted on the floor there. You can tell that's a man who has, yes, won championships, but also lost championships, and knows that the job is only done when it is mathematically impossible for anybody else to catch up. So pleased, but staying realistic, which is absolutely the pragmatic approach there from the two-time champion. And tomorrow is another day, and as we so often see in DTM, Sunday gives a very different set of results than you get on Saturday. So Audi might have had a great day here today, but it does not, it far from absolutely confirms that they're going to have another set of great results like this tomorrow. So they'll all come out fighting, BMW and also Mercedes, and Lucas Auer. We can get a better qualifying session tomorrow. Will be right up there. But it's Audi's day today, and it was very nearly Jamie Green's day. But second place in the end for the British drivers with Verena.
Jamie, congratulations. You had a fantastic race. You were leading the pack all the way. Then all of a sudden, I have to ask this question being a journalist, all of a sudden in one round you were half a second later. Was it a technical problem, or what exactly was the problem? Because that was the moment when Eki managed to overtake you.
Yeah, I mean, Mattias got close towards the end, and I was a bit concerned about the tyres on this track. So I was being pretty careful at the end of the stint, and when Mattias came, I didn't fight him. I think team-wise, it was a good idea just to get this result. Yeah, I didn't want to battle hard with him, so it was more teamwork today.
I totally understand that. However, is it not painful giving away 2 points at the Nürburgring and now 7 points here?
Well, obviously, I'm a racer and I love to win, but I'm also a team player. So from that point of view, I always try to do the right thing.
All right, I'm curious to see what tomorrow brings. So thank you very much, and do enjoy the moment. Second place, fantastic job, Jamie. Back to you.
Thanks, Verena. Yeah, very honest response there from Jamie Green, thinking of the team. But, you know, he's got himself in second in the championship. And if he gets a great result tomorrow and Eki's in trouble, it could still come to play. But, yeah, you felt had the opportunity to take the race win there. And he started to come back on the last lap, didn't he? But also a team player, as he says there. So slightly bittersweet day for Jamie Green. The reaction, I think, probably tells you all you need to know. But it has been a fantastic day for Audi. We've got it all to do again, though, tomorrow, haven't we, Verena?
Absolutely. It's a sunny day. It's blue skies for Audi. They were so absolutely amazing today. But, of course, we all know, who knows what tomorrow brings. Tomorrow might be a completely different game. So I'm definitely looking forward to the second race here in Spielberg tomorrow, and I hope you're going to be there watching us as well. So till then, thank you very much, and enjoy the highlights. Bye-bye.